Hey guys. Um, yeah, I don't call this place Casa de Loco for nothing. Um, you know, craziness is craziness, and today's no exception. Um, timing wise, it's starting to rain, which is kind of apropos for today. In my last video, I told you guys I'd get out here and do a hive inspection and try and film it and let you guys know what's going on, and probably was going to be the last inspection I was going to be able to do for the year, because it's the end of October. It's still a little warm, which it didn't used to be the way it is, but that's the nature of climate change and things like that, I guess. But anyway, got a bit of bad news. So I set up, and I got my equipment out to film, and I got my equipment out to go check these hives. And early on, when I hived the two package bees, the 6 pounds total of bees that I got this year, I was coming out here about every 2 weeks or so and doing an inspection. And everything was looking good. They went from one hive box to two hive boxes pretty quickly for both hives. And they had a lot of honey, and they had a lot of pollen and stuff, and they were doing really good. And then about halfway through the summer, 3/4 of the way through the summer, I got busy with a lot of stuff. And I haven't been back out here as far as an inspection for about a month and a half, something like that. So it's been several weeks. I have been out in my wanderings on the property and this and that and the other. I've been out by here just to kind of visually see what's going on, and I've looked, and in all of those cases, I've seen activity in the front of the hives, and everything's been good. So come out here today, and it's a pretty overcast day. It's in the 60s. I didn't expect to see a ton of activity outside, because it is pretty cool and pretty overcast, and there wasn't. There was some activity, but not a lot. But then when I opened the hives up, it was pretty obvious right away on both of them that something had gone amiss. And in looking at both of these hives, it would appear that both hives have swarmed, and for the most part completely absconded. Like I say, the beginning of the year, these guys were really packing in the honey, they were really packing in the pollen, and they were really packing in the brood. Now, the last time I did bees, before I moved and then moved back here, that first year I didn't have any problems with them needing extra space other than the two deeps. So I didn't expect this year to have to put supers on, because it's the first year. I expected them to be putting a lot of energy into drawing out drawing out comb and what have you, and building up brood. And that seemed like that was what was going on, and it seemed like the same as the last time I had done bees. But I guess in this last month and a half or so, something changed. And when I was going through the hives, when you look at frames, you can see where the brood is, and you can see above the brood is the pollen and the honey, and it's usually like in a crescent moon shape. And where the brood is, that wax gets really dark, because it's being used to raise the brood and stuff like that. So there's a lot of activity and a lot of in and out going on there. Generally speaking, pollen and honey, the wax there stays a little bit lighter, because it's not being turned over so much. On both of these hives, just about every single frame is dark colored wax all the way out to the edges of the frame. So I suspect what happened was both of these colonies got brood bound. It looks like they used up all of their space on brood at some point, and had no honey stores and no pollen stores. Had I been checking every 2 weeks or so, I would have caught that, and I could have put in some supers, and I could have put in some extra frames, and they'd have had room for storing honey and storing what have you. But it looks to me like that's what happened, is they ran out of room, and they decided to find other digs. Now, looking at both of them, I did find some one or two swarm cells in the bottom of each of these hives, so I'm pretty sure that's what happened. There are a few bees left. This particular hive has, maybe a few hundred bees in it, which is nothing. And it does have a queen. I did find an unmarked queen. Now, when I put the packages in, I had marked queens in both of these. And I did find an unmarked queen, and she's very small, which means she's probably pretty young. So like I say, it looks like that's what happened, is they swarmed and left the young queen and went on about their business, but there's no honey or anything in the hive for them to make it through this winter. I don't even think if I put feeders on these that they would make it. I mean, there's just that few bees that I don't think they could keep the queen warm, and what have you. I did not find a queen in the other hive, although there very well could be an unmarked queen in there. With the weather being what it was, I don't want to keep it open too much. They were getting a little pissed off. There were a few more. There was probably, a couple of thousand at most in that hive. There were a lot more in there than what was in this one. But the whole bottom of both is empty. All of the bees that are in there are in these top two deeps, and they're concentrated together. There's not many of them, so I'm pretty sure that the majority of the bees have absconded. It happens, I guess. Unfortunately, if I had been looking better, or more often or whatever, I might have caught it in time, but I didn't. I got tied up with other things, and it is what it is. I'm doing this on my own, so it didn't work out. So what I'll probably end up doing is next year or maybe the year after, depending on what comes up next spring, I will go and get package bees again, and we will start this whole process again. It doesn't look like it was disease. Like I say, there's literally no honey, no pollen, no brood, no nothing in any of these, in any of the frames. They're all completely empty, and they're all dark like they were brood frames. So I just think they ran out of room, and I think they absconded. So that being the case, I may very well be able to just take these frames and reuse the frames and not have to put new foundation in them. So when I do put new packages in, they'll have a head start in that they won't have to draw out all that comb. They can get right into brood production, honey production, and go from there. Hopefully at that point I will have, gotten caught up on some of the other things around here that have kind of kept me away from this year, and I'll be able to keep an eye on it better, and we'll go from there. It's unfortunate. It is, I guess, in some respects, the nature of beekeeping. I mean, I'm no expert at this. This is only my second time of doing beehives, and this is probably my 4th year total of doing it. I'm doing it from what I can get off the internet, what I can read. I don't have anybody local here that I've been able to connect with and kind of mentor me through it. Who knows? Maybe we'll work on that too. It is what it is. I'm disappointed. I'm kind of pissed off at myself, but things happen. thing, you know, you get busy. And the thing is bees have been around thousands of years. Bees take care of themselves all on their own in the wild, perfectly fine, without any adult supervision, if you will. So the fact that I didn't get out here for a month, you know what? There's beehives that haven't been touched for 5, 10, 15 years, and people find them and they're still viable. So I can't necessarily blame myself completely, although, like I say, if I had been out here looking, I might have caught something sooner and been able to do something about it. But I didn't, and you know, we'll go from there. I mean, it's not the end of the world. You know, I'm sad and I'm disappointed because, you know, it seemed to be going well and what have you, but it's life. So that's what I know, and that's kind of the nature of Casa de Locos, where life goes on, you know, and next spring is another spring, and next year is another year, and every year is a learning experience. So, you know, and that's what life's about, is learning. So there you go. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.